Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Joe Knows the 2021 NFL Draft Class. And today we're going to be covering, or I should say, we're going to be reviewing your Atlanta Falcons draft class. Welcome back, Atlanta Falcons fans. You had a good draft class here. It was solid. You got players from all over the field, some new players, new depth. Really excited to go through these guys with you, especially your number one pick. Holy cow, is that guy going to be an exciting player for the next like 12 years at least. But before we get into our juicy content, where can you find the show? You can find us, first of all, we have a new website that we just launched. It's awesome. It's at toiletstotitles.com, where we have all of our videos. We have articles. We're going to be putting out, well, we've got like 5 articles up right now. We'll be putting up a few articles every week. And we have tons of fantasy football content as well as NFL content. Check it out. It looks great. I'm really proud of it. Go on and check it out if you have a minute or two. And also feel free to spend a few hours on there. It's worth it. It's great. And you can find the show at Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and Facebook, where we have 2 pages: Toilets to Titles and What a Family Breaks, which is our Facebook page dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. Very cool, very fun. Check it out. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button. If you like the content, if you don't like it, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. But everything helps us out a lot. It improves our metrics and it allows us to, it enables us to get our shows out to more viewers. It takes half a second. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And you can go to patreon.com/toilets to titles to learn how you can further support our show. So anyway, into our juicy content, we dive. 9 picks overall, including 2 fourths and 3 fifths. That's meaning 2 fourth round picks and 3 fifth round picks. I try to see if there's a theme with every class, every team's draft class. And so some teams like the Cowboys focused almost completely on defense. Some other teams focused like offensive line, and this tells you what the team's needs are. You actually split it down the middle. You had 9 picks. You had 4 on offense. You had 5 on defense. So you split it up. You split it up pretty evenly. I think you guys were. I think your front office was just going for like best player, best value, best fit at that time, regardless. But you had 5 picks on the defense, and you definitely, I thought there was with the defense, it was more of a specific focus on the secondary. Because off the top of my head, I think you had three picks in the secondary in this class, which would be 1/3 of your picks overall. And you know what? It's always needed. I think the Falcons secondary needed help. Most teams do, and if they don't need help per se in terms of like starters, everyone's in need of depth because this is a pass heavy league. It's basically pro offense, and they're throwing the ball more and more every year. And so you need cornerbacks, you need safeties, and you need guys who can be versatile between those positions too. So there's no shame in that at all. But let's hit it off with your first pick, the 4th pick in the first round, Kyle Pitts. There's really not much to say. I'm going to speak just generally. The guy is an incredible prospect. He's 6'6", 245 pounds. If you're familiar with college football, you were familiar with Kyle Pitts. This guy went where he deserved to go. I think he went to a good team that's going to do very well by him, and then he's going to help out a lot in the Atlanta Falcons. And this guy, he deserved to go this high. This guy is a phenomenal talent. I have no doubt he's going to step on the field and produce immediately with Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley and some of the other good offensive players they have. But, with Matt Ryan especially, I think Kyle Pitts is going to be putting up big numbers from the get-go. It might be maybe, he's going to be an elite player. Maybe for an elite player, maybe it'll take him a little time in the beginning of the season to get his feet wet. But I think by the second half of the season, he is going to be taken off. I think for even fantasy purposes, this guy right off the bat is a top 5 tight end, maybe a little higher. He's a top 5 tight end. That's very safe to say, in my opinion. And I'm not the biggest fantasy guy. I've been playing for a long time, but I've always played just your regular standard leagues. I've never played Dynasty before. But obviously, if he's a young player, if he's going to do well in standard leagues like I play, he's certainly going to do well. He's going to be a keeper in fantasy leagues. This guy's going to be phenomenal. I think anyone who's a big NFL fan is excited to see Kyle Pitts play and produce, except against our own teams. I'm a Giant team. Kyle, you can kick the crap out of everyone. Just leave the Giants alone when you play them, all right? But man, I'm so excited about this guy. Your second round pick, eighth overall in that round, Richie Grant, safety out of UCF, out of University of Central Florida. Good pick. You guys needed help in the secondary. You got a safety. He's 6 foot, 197 pounds. I'd say it's a little on the small side for safety, but nothing big, to be honest with you. This guy was a playmaker in college. He had 10 interceptions in college. And that's a lot for a cornerback, let alone a safety. 10 interceptions, because a lot of cornerbacks, listen, they can be good cornerbacks. They don't all have the best ability at actually intercepting a pass for whatever reason. But they're good at deflecting the pass and preventing the wide receiver from getting it. Doesn't mean they're great at getting interceptions. Richie Grant does that as a safety, and that's even a little more unusual. So, and he's also a guy who plays the run well. So he's an all-around safety, and that's good to find because it's hard to find, kind of hard. A lot of safeties are either good in coverage, pass coverage, or they're good at being in the box and in helping against the run. Okay, this guy does both. He's an all-around safety. So I think in the second round, especially value, forget about value. This guy was just a good pick. He's a good player. He could have went, in the back end of the first round too. So I think you did really well here. I think you helped out your secondary. I think you got yourself a starting safety. If not this year, definitely next year. This guy is a keeper. He did really well with Richie Grant. I like him a lot. Moving on to your third pick, Jalen Mayfield, offensive tackle out of Michigan, the fourth pick overall in the third round. He's a big dude, 6 foot 500, 326 pounds. Now, this is a deep. Jalen Mayfield got kind of like he gets lost pretty easily in this draft class. His name doesn't come up much in terms of like intrigue and being like an interesting pick, if you will, just because this was a deep class. This was a deep offensive line class. It was deep in tackles too. And if this was another class, maybe like 2018, 17, this guy could have went, more like in the second round. I wouldn't say he's a first round prospect, but the guy is going to be a solid starter in the NFL, in my opinion. I think this is a guy he's one of those tackles who's probably going to transition better to guard in the NFL. But you know what? Don't be surprised if he can actually hold his own as a right tackle in the NFL. That's what he played in college. Don't be surprised. Listen, the NFL, you need tackles too, right? It seems like all these tackles that come out of college, they're always projected to, transition over to guard in the NFL. Someone's got to play tackle. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if Mayfield winds up being your starting right tackle. And if not, he's going to be your starting guard. And again, if not this year, I do think this year, but if not this year, the next year, this guy's solid. He is. And like I said, he's probably going to play guard. He's probably going to compete for right tackle. And even if he starts at guard, if your right tackle goes down, he could probably swing out there and hold his own, for a good length of time. So he's going to offer you versatility, which you need on that offensive line because you're rolling five guys out every set of downs, every play, and it's very easy for at least one out of five guys to get injured. So you need versatility, you need depth. He offers that. He also moves well for a big dude. So not the best technician, but he's not lousy either. He's a solid player. Third round, you got a solid pick. I like it a lot. Everyone needs help on the offensive line. You did really well over here. Moving on to your first pick in the fourth round, Darren Hall, cornerback out of San Diego State. I like San Diego State products. I'm not saying they always succeed, but I think they tend to be really good athletes coming out of that program. 5'11", 188 pounds, kind of small for a cornerback in terms of his weight. The guy is known to be a good route jumper. I'm not going to pretend that I was all familiar with this guy. I really was not familiar with the name before I started studying in preparation for this video. So I had to read up on a few sources about Darren Hall. Apparently, he's a good route jumper. He's got good instincts. I love that in the secondary player. I like that in any defensive player, but I like that in the secondary player because it gives you the ability. If you're not the fastest guy, it gives you the ability to recover when you've got good instincts. So he's got that. He's good, and that's why it probably makes him a good route jumper. But I think he offers you some versatility given his size as a slot corner as well. And I think fourth round, I think this is a solid pick. Everyone needs more depth on the secondary. He's going to come in. I don't know if he's ever going to be a starter, but I think he's got the chance to give you some good depth, and everyone needs it. Okay, moving on to your second pick in the fourth round, center out of Stanford. The man's name is Dahman, 6'3", 299 pounds. Again, a little on the small side for center, but he's known to be a gritty technician. So he's kind of like an artisan of his craft. He studies the offensive line, how to play the offensive line, how to be a center. This is a guy that's always looking to improve through studying. He's out there in the field practicing all the time. Apparently, he's very good at taking pointers and direction. And you like to hear that in a young player who still has a lot of growth to go. You like hearing that. Those are good traits to have. So this is a guy who, hey, maybe he's not big. You like to see big and offensive linemen. They're not always the best. And I do like a guy who's like, who studies his position, this technique. And so he is known to have good technique, and he's known to be a hard-nosed guy who's not afraid to go out there and mix it up with your big 300-pound defensive tackles who are coming at you, like a bunch of mad dogs. So I like this guy. Say keep an eye on this guy. Keep an eye on Drew Dahman. I think he might be a nice little surprise for you as a future starting center. And if not, he'll give you good depth, but I think there's a good chance he's going to be a starting center down the road. Moving on to your first fifth round pick, Taquan Graham, defensive tackle out of Texas. The fourth pick overall in the fifth round, 6'3", 292 pounds for a defensive tackle. That's actually more the size of, like, say, a big defensive end. That would actually be a really big defensive end. A little on the small side, for a defensive tackle. He's got long arms. So that allows him to get his hands on the offensive lineman first. He's not known as a pocket pusher, but he is a bit of a penetrator with a nice number of tackles for loss throughout his career at Texas. He is athletic. You see a picture of this guy, he does not look like your normal defensive tackle. Usually they're kind of like, big, wide, kind of like, sloppy looking. Not Taquan Graham. I have a feeling they've got some other, they have a few things in plan with Taquan Graham where they're probably going to maybe rush him play him as a defensive end sometimes, maybe on pass rushing plays, and maybe have like someone like an edge rusher outside of him. He's an athletic guy. And I think he's intriguing. So I don't think he's just going to be your standard defensive tackle. He's just going to sit there to eat space. I don't think so. And the guy is a penetrator too. So again, he's athletic. I'm repeating myself, but with these later round guys, I think there's certain things I like to focus in on. Why I think a team is drafting this guy, especially in the mid rounds and the later rounds. This guy, I think they've got some plans for Taquan Graham. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter, but I don't know. I think he might be a versatile chess piece for them, for the Falcons down the road when he develops, when he gets more seasoning in him, more experience. Okay, moving on. Oh, this name. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm just calling his first name let's just call him Ade. Okay, for short. And the last name is Ogundeji. I believe Ogundeji. And I probably just slaughter it. I mean no disrespect for him at all. I'm just horrible with names, but he's a defensive end out of Notre Dame. I'm not the name I never knew how to pronounce, but I am familiar with the player, at least somewhat. Out of Notre Dame, defensive end, 6'4", 260 pounds. That's pretty decent size for a defensive end. 35-inch long arms. This guy's got long arms. You're getting guys who are a little undersized, but who are technicians, who are athletic, and but have long arms. So they're going for a lengthy Atlanta Falcons. He had 11.5 sacks the last 2 seasons, which is pretty darn good. And in 2020, he was one of the team captains at Notre Dame. I like that a lot. Notre Dame, they're not a program that really takes headaches into their program. And so you get a team captain at Notre Dame. You're probably getting a real standout character. I like that a lot. And this guy offers versatility outside and in. So he is going to play some defensive tackle, I believe. And I think he played some at Notre Dame, but I think you might see more of that actually in Atlanta. So he'll be mostly on the outside. Don't get me wrong, but versatility I think is key here, especially with these later picks. I don't think these guys are going to be. I don't think they're eventually going to be those types of gems that wind up becoming real good starters down the road. But I think they could be some solid starters on the interior. But if not, I think they're going to give you some really good versatility, and every team needs that. Not everyone's going to be a starter. Not everyone's going to be a Pro Bowler, but you need good depth. When your starters go down, you need guys who can come in, at least take a few snaps, give your starters a breather, or even if someone's down with an injury, be able to step in there for a few games at least and not kill your team, not be a hole in the presence of your defense. So this guy, keep an eye on him. Like I said, I think he's got potential for good depth for you guys. And then moving on to your next to last pick, the 39th pick in the fifth round, Avery Williams. This pick, I like this pick a lot. He is a cornerback at Boise State. That's the position he played on defense. This dude is really known for his skills on special teams. He is as I say, I put my notes here in the blue bar. The man is a dangerous return specialist on both kick and punt, especially kick, and he's probably the best one coming out of this class. This guy was earning accolades throughout his college career as a kick and punt return specialist. And there were also, just from what I've been reading up on him, he might be, he'll probably be like a backup cornerback in the slot. He's small, 5'8", 187 pounds. This dude's got burner speed. Who knows? Maybe he'll wind up being like a backup slot. Maybe he'll wind up being a starting slot corner. I doubt it. But I think he might wind up being a backup slot corner, pretty decent too. And but this guy is, from what I was reading up is, a lot of people were saying, reviews that I was reading. The thing that was pretty consistent was, don't be surprised if Atlanta starts trying to use this guy in offense like on trick plays. He's speedy. He's quick with his feet. He had quite a few interceptions. He had quite a few touchdowns as a returner in college. Not many players, even when they're good returners, they're good at just receiving the ball, not catching the ball, not fumbling it, maybe getting some yardage. Know when to take a knee when they're not gonna, actually return the ball. This guy actually was getting touchdowns. He got a fair amount, and I didn't put the number in here, but just trust me, he was pretty good at this. And he actually had some blocked kicks. I was surprised, but I can imagine being a burner. This guy's coming screaming off the edge when your defense is on the field trying to block a punt or a kick, and apparently he had a few blocked punts or kicks, blocked punts. Impressive. I like how this guy reads. Keep an eye on this guy. I like him a lot. He sounds like a sexy pick in the later rounds here. Now your last pick, Frank Darby, intriguing. Wide receiver out of Arizona State, third pick in the sixth round. He was your last pick. 6 foot, 201 pounds. Nice size. He's not big, but he's solid. And this guy was known as, if you look at his numbers at Arizona State, he never put up a lot of yards over the course of the season. But what he was known for was as a big play threat. A lot of this guy's receptions, a lot of his yards came at receptions over 20 yards, and that was what he was known for. He can take the top off of a D with his speed. He's not a blazer, but he is fast. He does have good speed, and he's got good size. So like I have here in my notes, nice speed and size combo. I think for a 6th round pick, this guy, I like this. I thought this was perfect for him in terms of taking him in the 6th round. No way I would have really taken him higher. I think there's a little too much I should say there's too little production in college, but I like his traits a lot and what he did show in college in terms of being able to, track that deep ball, catch that deep ball. He gives you a home run threat. Will he be like a starting receiver down the road, like say like a, top 2? I highly doubt that. He could wind up being a number 3 receiver for you. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying I'm also not drinking the Kool-Aid and saying that's going to happen. But I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility either. I think he gives you some intriguing possibilities after a year or two of development. Let's see how it goes with young Frank Darby. I like the pick in the 6th round. I like him going to Atlanta. They know how to develop wide receivers. I say keep an eye on this guy. He's going to be intriguing. But that's the entire Atlanta Falcons draft class for 2021. Before you go, please, again, here are the Twitter handles for me and all my teammates here in Toilets to Titles. There's like 12 of us now. We're a great bunch of guys. We're putting out more and more content, both on fantasy football and the NFL and, NCAA when the season starts up soon. We're just all really into football. We love it. And I think we make it fun for you too, especially if you check out our website. I'm telling you, I think we make it a lot of fun for you, the viewers and the readers. And so check them all out. Please subscribe to each of them. Great bunch of guys. You won't be disappointed. Also, before we go, again, just a reminder, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell, give us a positive review or a negative review. It helps our metrics anyway, but we love positive reviews especially. And if you have time, if you can give us that 5-star Apple review, that helps us out immensely. Anyway, everyone, this is Joe Knows. I'm done. I'm out for today. And I'll be back tomorrow with at least one other, maybe two other reviews if I can squeeze in both of them. But I'll definitely get one out. Anyway, love you. Peace. And I'll catch you soon, everyone. Take care.